Or Kevin Sorbo. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day today, and hope you're getting ready for the holidays.
Well, there you go. Very fair. I'll keep that in my notes. Kupo, fellow warriors of light, I'm happy to be here.
Woo! I think one of my players at my table would kill me if I did that. That's always the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's even more devious than Legos.
Yep, and it looks fucking OBS. I swear to God. Thank God he couldn't hear me. So this is VII Continuum. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra. With me are my good brothers Sig and Vincent. And I will note part of the reason that I live rent-free in my family's head during the holidays is, well, for one, the whole thing with me messing with the cranberry sauce and tricking everyone into eating red beets on Thanksgiving. Because the year before I got hit with trick candles on my birthday. So I was like, you know what? You'll want to play haha, we'll play haha. And of course, every year on Christmas, somebody ends up getting the Endless Box, which is like a Christmas box version of a Russian nesting doll.
That is so mean.
No, you open up the box and inside it is a smaller box. It just keeps going until you finally find a pair of white socks that don't even fit the recipient. And every box is individually wrapped tight, so it takes a long time to get through all the boxes. Only to get something completely useless.
I didn't know that you're dual classing as a trickster.
My best friend calls me the Prankster Prince.
Yeah.
He's the master of the trickster style, as I've come to know.
Mm-hmm.
This monk has many tricks.
Yeah. It has resulted in me getting banned from the kitchen during any gathering. And giving my coworkers so much PTSD that when someone brought in a box of donuts, nobody touched it because they thought I brought it in.
Yeah, there you go.
All because I messed with the coffee once as revenge for one of my coworkers leaving a chocolate cake on my desk. I'm allergic to the cocoa bean. So, That kind of stuff is a declaration of war.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I could have gotten into a fight with him, but I'm like, you know what? If I do that, he's not going to learn anything, so I'm going to be clever about it. And of course, when I messed with the coffee, nobody could do anything to me about it because I was out of state when they found out. I'm like, I'm halfway across the country. What are you going to do? Drive 500 miles to find one guy?
Stranger
Very
things
fair.
have happened.
That's true too.
Well, I told them the state I was going to be in, but I didn't tell them where. And I knew that by the time it would take them to get there and start looking for me, I would already be back. Because I was completely off the grid. But obviously, for this particular episode, we are delving into Final Fantasy VII. The game that some people tell me has the most obnoxious fan base, though personally I have had more tension with the fan bases for FF6 more than anything else. Oh.
Fair.
For me, it's been 14. I'm just saying. I'm not a 14 hater, but that's probably where I'm at.
I really had to sit and think for a bit, and I realized I really don't hate 7 all that much, just the people that obsess over it.
Yeah. I know that for a lot of people, this was the start of their hate boner for Tetsuya Nomura, because this was where he stepped in as character designer. And it's understandable why he became the primary character designer instead of Amano, who was still doing early concept art that would get filtered into Nomura's style. It all largely goes back to that Silicon Tech demo from, I believe it was 1996. It's either 96 or 95. And that was where they realized with the tech that they were going to be using for going the 3D route, they could not do it on cartridges anymore. It had to be on CD.
Mm.
But since Nintendo was not interested in doing CD for probably because
another decade.
Yeah, probably because they were still the spurned X over the whole Philips thing. I don't know if that's actually the reason why, though. I will remind people, Nintendo was the one who left Sony at the altar with that project to jump over to Philips, which blew up in their face. But point is, the cartridge setup, even the stronger cartridge that the N64 had, wasn't going to be enough for what they were doing. And hell, as say you and I have discussed, when it came to Doom 64, that game had to make concessions just because of space.
No kidding. And now we got the remasters of it, and it still looks amazing.
Oh yeah, it does. Midway did plenty good with it, but a lot of monsters had to go by the wayside as a result.
Which modders would put in years later in some very, very good mods.
Mm-hmm. But there's also the fact that I've said this before, but even with modern tech, it would be difficult to do Amano's art style in 3D.
Oh yeah.
So imagine trying
especially considering some of his major inspirations were American comics.
I also think that, I don't know if he's ever said it, but I wonder if Amano was someone inspired by Mobius. Especially when you consider the insane detail that's in Mobius's work.
Oh yeah.
But Nomura's more manga style was felt would transfer more easily to 3D. Because I can't even imagine somebody trying to do a Mono's art style in 3D in 1997.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm. But there were a few things that were interesting on the cutting room floor. One of them being that the character of Vincent went through massive overhauls during development. Like Vincent originally wasn't going to be a ex-Turk. He was going to be this noir-esque detective that was trying to work a big case against Shinra. And
Sounds pretty cool. And ultimately, yeah, I know, I don't hate that either. And ultimately, that's probably, what inspired you to bring me onto the show, because every good Final Fantasy VII content needs a Vincent.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is, last night I come across a video by Maximilian Dude where he was showcasing a Vincent mod for Tekken 8.
Oh man, that sounds so cool. I have to check that out.
Where somebody had done a skin mod for Lards to do Vincent.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, I'm all about that. I gotta check that out because just as a little short story, I played through. My dad gave me Final Fantasy VII when I turned 7 years old, and we played through that game together. And I accidentally dozed off whenever he encountered Vincent and added him to the party. And I woke up a couple of hours later and I saw this guy in his party named Vincent. And in the original 7, you can rename the character. So I just thought he renamed the guy Vincent. So I was like, Dad, why'd you rename this guy my name? He's like, dude, that was just his name. And I was blown away because up to this point, I never thought of my name as being cool or anything until I saw this guy who's like the coolest guy I've ever seen in a video game, and he has my name. So at that point, I completely 180'd on sort of like hating my name to absolutely loving my name and being all about it, because I was like, this is my guy, he's my character. So that really helped like seal the deal for me with Final Fantasy VII and made me love it even that much more.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention he's got that sick ass fucking handgun.
Yeah, the Cerberus.
Yep.
And then for his ultimate weapon is called the Death Penalty, which I have a little theory that in Magic the Gathering they gave ability words and like they named different like weapons and stuff in the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy collaboration, but for Vincent he has an ability that whenever like in the card game, whenever a creature dies, he gets extra strong, just like he would for the death penalty gun. But they didn't add the death penalty name as an ability text, and I think it's because they didn't want to. They felt like it was too like political. They wanted to be like safe, and so I'm actually bummed and upset because I actually have that Vincent card right in front of me, and I see it right now, and it should say death penalty as an ability text, but they were cowards and didn't put it in his effect box.
Well, knowing what I know about the people in WotC, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly, because they put the names of like Prompto's, his effect, and Squall, and a lot of these other characters, but they ignored Vincent's, and
Yeah.
I think it's because of that, and it makes me so mad.
What is?
No one's talking about it though. I'm breaking the story. This is breaking news. I'm the first one going back to the noir Vincent thing. I'm actually a detective. I put together this case, and I'm breaking this news right at the monastery.
Yeah. There was, but in apparently early on, before the materia thing was settled on, they were actually going to use classes internally. His was going to be called Horror Terror, which kind of carried through. The other thing that's amusing is originally he didn't have a gun; he had a scythe. And
Did you say Horror Terror as in like two separate words?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Um,
Well, that's my other gripe with the card. That in the Magic the Gathering card, they didn't label him as a horror creature type. Every other character has a race and a class type, and they just gave him a class type but no race type.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure in a couple weeks you'll end up doing a video called "They Did My Boy Dirty."
Actually, yeah, you've inspired. I'm putting together this video, but as you were saying, they were going to give him a scythe, which would be, I mean, having a noir detective named Vincent with a scythe would be pretty cool.
Yeah, if you look in the side chat, I shared the early concept art with him with a scythe.
Ooh, I've never seen that.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool.
Apparently, a lot of his some of the early stuff that was considered for Vincent would get transferred over to Sephiroth.
They also made him left-handed, which I am as well.
Mm-hmm.
For those that can't see the photo that Mildred shared, basically just picture the classic Vincent art, but instead of the gun, he has a scythe in his left hand, and the scythe looks, I would say, fairly standard. It's not some crazy looking scythe. It's just sort of like a by the book scythe.
Mm-hmm. But now for what we're doing when it comes to this, there are a few ground rules that I need to set. One of them is we are chiefly concerned with the OG FF7. And we will be using the standard class and job system in FFLE for that. As tempting as it would be to utilize materia, the way I have materia just isn't going to be compatible, because truth be told, it took a while for me to figure out a way to do materia in a way that was satisfactory to my goals, but also wasn't just slavishly adapting what had come before in tabletop Final Fantasy, or just copying over the materia system in the video game. Because I knew the one in the video game would be too granular for what I was trying to do, and would create more questions than answer them. And a lot of the attempts to do materia in past Final Fantasy TTRPG projects have it more akin to the way gems and gem sockets work in, say, Diablo 2. And that wasn't satisfactory. So the class and job setup is what we're going to be using instead. And I know one might say, wouldn't that make things harder because of that? Not really, because unlike 1 through 3, which were the hardest, 1 and 3 were probably the hardest for us to do in this series, because of the fact that they are blank slate characters. But you can look at the character, look at the background, look at how they conduct themselves and a bit of their stat spread, and you can put 2 and 2 together with it. It is a little bit tricky, but it's not impossible. And I think and there were a few nods to 7 that I put in the Ultimania guide, such as the airship rules being named Sid Highwind's Manual of Airships. And I specifically asked for it to be set up like it was a Shinra manual that he had painted over. And just, I'm not sure if you've seen it in the Ultimania guide, but the page looked like this.
Yep, I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And for the record, yes, the Highwind is statted.
Nice.
It is a galleon class ship. Which is why I found it so odd that's another story. But the stuff from compilation, the only thing from compilation that we will dip into is largely going to be Dirge of Cerberus, and that's mainly because everything else we've already tackled in some form. I already did the first sword in slash fusion sword from Advent Children in the Ultimania guide, and the other stuff in the compilation project. I don't think there was enough meat on the bones. There will be some interesting things to talk about when it comes to the compilation project as a whole. I know some people hated it, but I didn't mind it because it was clearly a first attempt at the idea, and it would turn out much better a few years later with Ivalice Alliance. But now, before we get into it, I know you've been pretty busy, especially with Black Friday and dealing with illness. But did you have a chance to skim through some of the rule set for Legend Edition, Vincent?
Yes, I have, and I have the PDF here too.
Mm-hmm. Just from the perspective of another game designer, what did you think of what we've cooked up over the last 4 years?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, and I think that anyone that takes a look at it can tell that a lot of hard work went into this, a lot of thought, and I mean, it's definitely made with a lot of love and care, and you definitely have to be very familiar with the Final Fantasy series to put something like this together, which is great because, one of the worst products that anyone can receive is something that's, just made because it's, they're told it's a good idea, but the people that's making it have no idea what they're talking about or what they're working on. So what you did is the exact opposite of that, which is great. And so it's a really impressive book, honestly.
I was following in the approach that Harv Bennett had when he was tasked with doing Star Trek 2, the best Star Trek movie, because he had not seen a single episode of Star Trek when he signed on to be producer. So in preparation, he watched the entire original series. And the way I saw it was, that's the bare minimum that I need to meet. So it wasn't just me going into the games everyone knows, but even the side games that people don't talk about as much, and looking at more interviews and behind-the-scenes documentaries than I care to admit. The Ultimania strategy guides for the different games certainly helped, or at least what I could scrounge up from them. You are dealing with rough translations of books that have been out of print for years. And I think when it comes to doing the character adaptations, we're mostly going to be concerned with things like race, class, and jobs. We're not going to be concerned too much with feats, and the rest will be playing by ear. Because we don't want to get too much into the weeds, otherwise this will be way too long.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But for me, the thing that always screwed me up was that for the longest time, I thought soldier was an acronym for something. Because when I see something in all caps like that, I'm thinking it's an acronym.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It definitely could have been an acronym, but it's just like, no, they just want to capitalize it.
It isn't. It's more the fact that in the Japanese, the soldier part is written in English. But there's not really an up.
Yeah.
Japanese doesn't have the equivalent of upper and lowercase for the most part. I say for the most part because there's exceptions to every rule, and going further into that is a little bit too in the weeds for this particular stream. But I'd say, but for our first entry, when it comes to adapting characters, we of course have our alleged ex-soldier, Cloud Strife.
Who's really just a punk ass.
Which it amuses It amuses me. No, it amuses me to no end that his birthday is 1 year before mine and 1 day before mine.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
So clearly he's a Moogle. I mean, that's obvious.
yeah.
In comparison to Mildred, probably.
So I will note the reason for the massive great swords that he would wield. That was intended to be a nod to Miyamoto Musashi. Like the designs of, according to Nomura, the designs of Cloud and Sephiroth were meant to be a nod to Musashi and Kojiro.
Interesting. I can definitely get Kojiro vibes from Sephiroth.
And I know for a lot of people, they think Musashi, they think the two swords, but in his duels, he more commonly used a rowing oar. Both because he didn't want to mess up his swords, and also because Musashi loved finding ways to psychologically fuck with his opponents. Whether it be arriving hours late to his own duel that he set up, or looking completely unkempt. It's a classic case of showing that trolling is not a post-internet concept. Professional trolling has been a thing for centuries.
Yep.
But so as far as assigning race in this is going to be easy because all but one character is going to be Hume. And Guardian says that guy sounds kind of like you, Monk. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So, obviously Hume for race. As far as class goes, within the game, he's kind of an all-rounder.
Yeah, especially with the stat blocks that I'm looking at here, definitely an all-rounder, but has pretty decent strength.
Mm-hmm. But I am.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tricky to track stat growth in 7 because it is semi-random.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just because of presentation and the like, class has to be warrior.
Of course.
And I'd say, especially since, despite being that all-rounder, all of his limit breaks are still physical damage.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, I'd say as far as jobs, I'm thinking one of them should be Weapon Master. Because even if you do have variants that aren't great swords, if you look at most of the weapons you equip for Cloud in 7, a lot of them are some variant of a great sword.
Yep. The nail bat, I think it's the Murasame. Let me double check that just to be sure I'm not talking out of my ass here. The Force Edge, oh, it's the Yoshiyuki, not the... Oh, he does have the Murasame, never mind.
Mm-hmm. But he has a very great sword fighting style.
Yep.
And Weapon Master is always meant to be the job for people who are focusing on one particular weapon build and sticking to it.
Yep.
They're just better at it than other characters. And as far as the other two,
So the question is, even if he is an all-rounder, are we going pure warrior for him, or are we throwing something else in?
I think there's a few other things that can be thrown in.
What about Magic Knight?
I did Magic Knight when I first did this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mostly basing that around his appearance in the Dissidia games.
Fair.
But
Definitely associate Cloud with having the ability to cast magic, even if he's not really seen as a mage.
mm-hmm.
So I think I personally think it fits, and it'd be congruent with the book because I think you do have that listed as an example.
Yeah, when I did that in the book, it was meant to be this aggregate of all of his appearances, and especially his appearance in the Dissidia duology. But for this, we're strictly focusing on his appearances in 7, and because he's, even if he is an all-rounder, he's still one that's going to lean more towards attacking.
True, but that's what the Weapon Master and the have we done like Fighter and Weapon Master? Is that what we've currently picked?
We just picked Weapon Master. The
Weapon
class
Master?
is
Okay.
Warrior, but remember that class is a chassis. But if we're going to be doing all-rounder, then Warrior is not the class we should be going with. It should be Adept.
That is true.
And
well, I don't think he should necessarily be all-arounder. I think he should be like 75-25, I guess is what I'm saying. Like he should still be mostly a warrior, but I feel like, I still remember like when I booted up the original Final Fantasy VII, I went on the bombing mission and I could cast thunder, so I just feel like him having a sprinkling of magical ability, I think still makes sense in context of the original game.
yeah, in that regard, I'd keep Magic Knight, but I would also add in Scholar. And go with black and white magic as his pair there. Actually, nope, not Scholar. Red Mage. So Weapon Master, Magic Knight, Red Mage.
Let's see. Now, what about Fighter though? Because then that gives him Omni Strike, which is it is oozing kind of flavor of Omni Slash. Like his
that wouldn't be the right fit.
Move.
Fighter in Legend Edition is the walking arsenal.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, the mascot for Fighter in my system is Furion's appearances in Dissidia.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, cool. I'm tracking.
In fact, I went out of my... I've mentioned this in the past, but I went out of my way to not use Limit Break as an Uber attack. Because, for one, that's been done before, and two, that would result in me having to put another resource to track when you're already going to be tracking up to 5 different resources as is.
Yeah.
You know, HP, MP, and possibly one job-based resource for each of your 3 jobs, or possibly even each of your 4 jobs if you take the full buy-in option. So adding a limit gauge to that I didn't see the point.
Totally get it.
So
are we at Weapon Master, Magic Knight, and Red Mage?
Yep. Those are
okay,
the 3.
I'm cool with that.
I have had some people say, why would I pick Black or White Mage if I can pick Red Mage and get both? Well, there's stuff that either of them can do that Red Mage can't, and vice versa. Red Mage.
Yeah, and I feel like for Final Fantasy fans, I feel like people know that. Like that's just kind of like how that's like the dynamic that's always been.
Yeah. A lot of people look at Red Mage and go, "Oh, you can cast both, but not as good." I'm taking a different approach, where Red Mage is more of a switch hitter compared to White and Black Mage, who have their own benefits. Whether that be weaponized overhealing in the case of White Mage, or being able to do more stuff with elemental damage in the case of Black Mage. But as far as statting out the Buster Sword,
it's obviously going to be. It's obviously going to be a great weapon, great sword.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Going to the thingy.
Yeah, GT says Red Mage is that job / class you want for a party to pick up a bit of a slack if the specialists get rocked. Within my system, Red Mage would just be 1/3 of the equation. It is specifically designed around not allowing you to be a one-trick pony character. But I do have a greatsword option as one of the sample melee weapons. So it has Brutal 1, Guardian, and then pick one. And I think it should get Brutal twice.
Okay, I can see that.
And for context, Vincent, Brutal has it that when you roll weapon dice, if you roll ones, they re-roll. If you roll ones again, you roll them again. You just keep doing it until you get something that isn't a one. If you take Brutal twice, it's ones and twos. If you take it 3 times, it's 3 or less.
So you're guaranteed to hit pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty brutal.
Yep. And Guardian, which can only be used on melee weapons, if an opponent rolls a natural 10 or less against you on an attack that hits, then you take half damage.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
But I wanted weapons to have more of an impact than just number go up, which is why we have the tag setup, as well as the fact that weapons are going to be going into a lot of different places when you're dealing with Final Fantasy, and a standard weapon list is, no matter how robust I make it, is going to have stuff that falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
I'd say an example would be Yuffie's oversized shuriken, which we'll get to later. But next is legally distinct Mr. T.
Mr. Barrett Wallace.
Mm-hmm. So I would legally distinct Mr. T. You mean Mr. Coffee? No, that's a different brand. What's all that churning and bubbling? You call that a radar screen? Nope, we call that Mr. Coffee. Care for some?
All right. Well, he's definitely human, as we brought up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Suggestion is sniper, sentinel, and general. How do you feel about that?
His approach is more accuracy by volume with his Gatling gun.
Oh, so the way I play Doom.
Mm-hmm. So
actually, not Doom. It'd be more like Shadow Warrior or Duke Nukem.
Mm-hmm. I would. I feel like as far as class goes, I'm gonna go with expert.
I can definitely see that, especially considering Vincent's general suggestion.
That, and stat-wise, it's talked about how he has high HP, high defense.
Yep.
But his magic ability is on the low end of the spectrum. So, as a result of that, I think one of the jobs should be Dynamo. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Instead of expert, I think I'm going to go with warrior for him, especially since warrior has the highest HP growth within the classes.
Yeah, make him tankier.
And to that end, I would say Dervish.
Mm-hmm.
Dervish is one of the bigger multi-attack kind of archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
And to further the whole dodge tank kind of thing, I'd add in Dynamo.
Well, what about, not to jump too ahead, but I feel like maybe Tifa will be Dervish, and I feel like she'll have like the flurry of punches and such. I mean, I know that she's, I don't know. I was thinking like maybe for him, maybe Sentinel, like where he has like
that can be added.
Makes him very tanky. Yeah.
Dervish, Dynamo, and Sentinel. And that actually combos pretty well, because the thing about Sentinel is that they can gimp their own damage for the possibility of gaining Overwatch.
Actually, does he need to have Berserker to have like Intimidating and Fury, and then he has a limit break called Avalanche? I mean,
no.
No.
A big idea with these is getting the spirit of the character rather than the letter. Getting the letter is never going to be fully possible, and when it came to the whole Fury mechanic, I knew that was something I wasn't going to use. It was too hard coded to 7.
Yeah.
But see. Then next up we have Tifa.
Miss Lockhart.
So I am so obviously going with Hume again. And let me see what I believe since she was still doing the monk archetype with her stat setup. Where it's a lot of high HP but low defense, or in her case lower HP but high strength, which is definitely the glass cannon archetype. First one to go with is monk. That is blazingly obvious, and not just because unarmed fighter, but because monk is one of my premier comboist jobs. But monk and dervish both do the combo thing, but they do it in different ways. Monk does blitzes where you're rolling 3 attacks and you get a better effect if 1, 2, or 3 of them hit. But unless you pick certain blitz forms, you're not doing extra damage. The idea is each time you hit, you get a point of chakra. You spend chakra on mudras, which are going to help you do better with blitzes, and the loop gets tighter. So I would say in addition to that, in part due to how her limit break works as a kind of slot setup, gambler.
Definitely.
I did simplify the way gambler reels worked because I didn't want to fall into the same trap my predecessors had, where they treated it as if they needed to have an effect for every combination. No, I just did it of you're either looking for sets or you're looking for a straight.
Yep. As demonstrated in the recent one-shot I did.
Yep. And as far as the third part of that equation, I would say.
So obviously, I mean, monk, gambler,
Mm-hmm.
dynamo, perhaps, or would dervish be better?
I think it has to be dynamo, since the thing with monks is that an easy way for them to lose chakra is getting hit.
Mm.
And dynamo is especially about not getting hit, and due to that, this is going to be another warrior archetype.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have Aerith.
The name that a Team 4-star, could help but switch between for like 5 minutes in FF7 Abridged.
Yeah. I know some people try and insist on the original name, when we got it on the PS1, but they're wrong, so they can sit in their corner and be wrong.
She's got to be mage because she's on the more magical end of the spectrum.
Mhm.
For sure.
And I know it would be tempted to go with a different race because of the whole Cetra thing, but biologically, there's not too much difference between Cetras and humans.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's and the whole thing of being able to speak with the planet, that's not really something I feel is a good idea to put mechanics onto.
Mm-hmm.
It's far too contextual.
Right.
So I'm thinking white mage for one.
I might have to disagree with that because I know we were talking about scholar earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely go with scholar, and for her two spell lists, definitely white mage. I do agree with that. Also cosmic mage.
I can go with that. And in picking scholar, that's going to give her even more spell slots than a normal mage would have.
Mm-hmm.
Because scholar is the castiest caster.
So what's the so I even though I read through the book some, I had to skim, so I don't quite know the like what's the advantage of choosing a white mage, say, over a scholar, and then picking white mage as one of the options.
With scholar, they can choose a pair of spell lists among a handful of them: black, cosmic, illusion, necromancy, and white. But their whole thing is kind of a stance setup due to how they do spells either astrally or umbrally. And it's more, the thing with scholars is that they're able to cast more spells than anyone else. As well as do more with the meta magic feats than other casters. Whereas white mage, through things like divine seal, and other effects, they can do more with HP recovery spells.
So that's one.
So if you choose scholar and then get the white mage from it, do you get the white mage like limit break, for example, with holy?
You get each limit break that you have with each job that you have.
Okay.
You get one limit break from your class and one limit break each from your jobs. You can only activate a limit break when you're at half health, and it remains for the rest of the encounter. But once you've picked one limit break, you lock yourself out from the rest.
Okay.
Second one, I want to say medic.
Yep. I can go with medic.
Because, God, her healing is powerful.
Mm-hmm. And medic isn't a mage job, but it is a way to add more healing, or just add healing if you want to be a healer but don't want to be using magic. And I would say for the third entry, probably mediator.
Yeah, I could see that.
I was leaning toward noble at first, but then I looked at mediator. I'm like, yeah, that makes a little more sense.
Mm-hmm. So then we have Nanaki, aka Red 13.
Well, he's clearly not human. Even if it is Hojo's fetish.
Yeah. Now, we do have a rough equivalent for Red 13 within the Ultimania guide. What we call the Protector Beast. Protector Beast is meant to be a catch-all for characters like Red 13, that kind of animal character. So Interceptor in FF6 would qualify for this as well.
Everybody loves Interceptor.
Mm-hmm.
The goodest of boys.
But we put in a sidebar within the entry for Protector Beast stating, while Red 13 serves as the primary inspiration for Protector Beast, this race is a catch-all for the talking animal trope. When selecting this race, you are free to assume the role of any animal you desire, be they a creature from our world or one from fiction. And as far as the blue spell that he gets for Protector Beast, I'm thinking it should be Mighty Roar.
Where do you see the Protector Beast at?
That is on page 25 of the Ultimania guide.
Cool, thank you.
The one book I did not open for whatever reason.
But Red 13, aside from having the... It's funny that a lot of his equipment boosts his MP because he has the lowest MP stat. Because MP is his lowest stat, personally. Whereas speed is highest. But I do think especially given a lot of the support effects of his limit breaks and the way his ultimate weapon works, I know it'd be tempting to go with warrior, but I'm thinking either mage or adept with Red 13. And honestly, I'm leaning more towards mage.
Okay. I'll take a look at him. Yep, that magic stat is not great.
I'm thinking either mage or... I was thinking mage, adept, or expert, but warrior I don't think would be the right fit. But which do you guys think?
I'd lean more toward adept, but Vincent, what do you think?
Well, I hope no one hates me, but I like... Red 13 is definitely not the one that was in my party when I played. I like Red 13 as a character, but I am, as far as like his mechanics and gameplay wise, I'm the least familiar with this character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with adept. I think I'm going to go with
That's
adept.
The way I'm leaning. I mean, that's sort of just off the cuff. That's what I was thinking.
And one of the jobs I think should be thief. I know some of you may raise your eyebrow at that, but consider this. He has the highest speed, and sneak attack is all about doing more damage to enemies who have lower initiative than you. Not to mention, a lot of his limit breaks are about buffing himself, and steal is more of a buff than, stealing an item.
At least it's not completely game breaking like in Tactics, but we don't talk about that.
No, that Tactics will come later if we get to it. To that end, I think one of the other ones to go with should be Ravager.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Ravager is spell Daka. They're not about casting the highest spells, but they are all about spamming low-level spells. Once again, accuracy by volume.
I was about to say, yeah, the low-level spells might be crap, but a lot of crap can fuck up somebody's day.
I believe in the engineering world, the phrase is, even a brick can fly if you throw it hard enough.
Yes. But enough about Team Fortress 2.
And as far as the third one, part of me wants to be a bit of a shitter and give him Chocobo Knight.
If he's an adept, what do we have as far as an adept class for him?
Yes, which is why I didn't go with Chocobo Knight.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going Blue Mage.
Blue Mage?
Yeah. His limit breaks certainly have that vibe of going all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Which is definitely something that Blue Mage does.
Yep.
So then there's Kate Shi.
Ah, Catsy.
Mm-hmm. Or Reeves Good Boy.
Reeve is such an underrated character. I don't care what anyone says.
I agree.
And I think Kate Shi has to get Android.
Yeah, that makes sense for me.
Well, he is a construct, so yeah, that would make the most sense.
Mm-hmm. And as far as class goes, I think it's got to be expert.
Mm-hmm.
I think gambler is going to be one.
Yeah. Especially when he has Mog rolling giant dice.
Yeah.
I think a second one has to be covert ops.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
what about entertainer?
Yeah, I can go with that. I was going to go with either Entertainer or Chocobo Knight because of the Mog he keeps riding, but Entertainer's a better fit.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Entertainer is our fusion of Bard and Dancer. Because I felt that thematically they were stepping on the same toes. That
makes sense.
They're both performance-based support archetypes. I know that one of them buffs and the other one debuffs, but that's not enough in this system because of the way each individual job has to be more focused.
Who would have thought that the weirdest character would have been the easiest to map out in the system?
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty funny how that worked out.
Yeah, we're just like boom, boom, boom. Yep, sounds great. Let's go.
Yep. So then we have Mr. Drink Your Goddamn Tea, Sid Highwind.
All right, well, human
Man who
obviously.
man who swears more than I do.
Which is to say, he swears for a average amount for every ship engineer and soldier I've ever known. And,
So, you guys thinking warrior?
Let's see.
Let me see here. His stat layout suggests
High defense, low magic. Yeah, warrior. I'd say
Obviously dragoon.
Mm-hmm.
warrior. Let me. So second one, I would probably suggest sniper.
I can go with sniper, and I think the third one is engineer.
Definitely.
Engineer fits. Now, do we want to consider maybe sentinel over sniper? Have we done sentinel for someone? I don't think we have for these characters, but you said that he has
Barrett.
high defense.
Barrett,
did we go with sentinel for one of his? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't. I know we talked about sentinel for Barrett, but I couldn't remember if we landed on it or not.
Sid is the jump tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And engineer is an expert type that has its automata buddy that can do major actions or minor actions. And customize it the more you level up on that form, as well as mess around with other people's weapon tags.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool, and I think that definitely fits Sid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that some of his higher end limit breaks, he's calling in the high wind for an artillery strike.
Heck yeah.
But there's no way for us to replicate the equivalent of that because that's too contextual.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
So then we have the optional pair. Though nobody I know actually ran through the game without recruiting these two, because everybody I know was some version of a completionist.
Yeah.
Guilty. Even before the PlayStation 1 I had with Final Fantasy VII 8 in my save data.
Mm-hmm. So, Yuffie Kisaragi.
For her, she's kind of a weird kind of hybrid, so I'm going to say adept for her class.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, one of the jobs has to be ninja.
Yeah.
Considering she's the great ninja Yuffie.
I'd say another has to be thief.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go out into the world where I'll steal your materia. What? Go on an adventure!
I'd say... As far as the
third class, I would say sniper again. Because she's more of a ranged fighter.
Actually, because of that shuriken of hers, I'm leaning weapon master.
Okay.
What about Dynamo? Is that a possibility?
I don't think she leans enough into that approach to go with Dynamo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. So I'm not like overly familiar with Dynamo, so I'm trying to like read through it again. I'm like, okay, Gunkata, and so yeah, I could see that. Maybe that will be the next character that we talk about. Yeah. But there could be covert ops, could be a contender.
He does raise an interesting point.
Yeah, though. The thing about covert ops is one of its big things is having alternate identities. And I'm certainly not doing that with Yuffie. She is far too unsubtle.
True. Yeah, I Weapon Master I think can work for sure.
And as far as statting out that particular thing, I want to see if I did it in. Nope, all of the weapons in the Ultimania guide are magic weapons in different forms. So let me.
Oh right, I forgot about the magic weapon catalog in there. I've skimmed over it, but I haven't really looked at it in depth, which is probably something I'm gonna do for the campaign.
Yep. So let's see.
Thrown weapons.
I do have a Fuma Shuriken, which is the closest equivalent in thrown weapons. I know I had it as short. I think with the size of the one that she has, it should be long.
Long.
Physical, meta type, long, template. Let's see. Brutal, traumatizing, and swarm. I think I can keep that. So, the way those tags work, Vincent, I already mentioned brutal. Traumatizing has it that when you crit, you inflict bleeding and battered. Bleeding is, of course, a damage over time thing. Battered messes around with HP recovery. And you can't, in the case of traumatizing, until bleeding is removed, you can't remove battered. Or you can only remove both of them at the same time, which isn't as easy.
Yeah.
And Swarm has it that when you miss, you do half damage, but it's not treated as a hit. For the purposes of proccing, it's basically chip damage.
Okay, cool.
So then we have Vincent Valentine.
Woo!
And I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. I'm putting two versions of him in this. One of them for FF7 and one of them for Dirge of Cerberus. Because I do think the playstyle of them is different enough to warrant it.
I would agree with that.
And so I don't have a quote-unquote monster race, so still Hume. Class is expert.
Definitely. And one of his first jobs has to be sniper.
I'd say sniper.
Dynamo.
Covert ops. And for the third one, I have to go into the Ultimania guide.
Nightmare.
Yep.
Yep. Because Galleon Beast is fucking dope.
Oh yeah.
So when we were developing, one of my partners had suggested a Vincent representative class due to a art asset that he already had from a previous project. I said I wouldn't put it in the core book because I didn't know what angle to go with at the time. And when I figured out an angle, that was when I came up with the nightmare job. Originally, I was going to have a short list of alternate forms you could turn into, like you have the list of summons for Summoner.
Yeah.
But I didn't like how it was coming out. It felt like it was too much of Vincent.
Yeah.
So then I looked back and I remembered Project Claymore when I was on the old Anima forums. And instead of this idea of having set alternate forms, I decided to go with this idea of building transformations, but if you try and build too many of them, you start taking damage.
Mm.
The Nightmare job is in page 58 of the Ultimania Guide. First thing you get is Intimidating, so when making a presence roll to Intimidate, you get a bonus equal to your highest unlocked Nightmare Circle times 2. But if you try to do it to Charm, the bonus becomes a penalty. Which makes sense if you're going to be intimidating because you are a monster in human form. You're not exactly going to be the social charmer. But the big thing that nightmares have is morph. To do this, you have to make a morph roll, which is a d20 roll plus your physical combat modifier, as well as twice the amount of nightmare circles you unlock. The types of morphing that you have access are dependent on how many nightmare circles you have. And there will be specific morph types that you unlock as you develop. When you succeed, you trigger the chosen effect, which lasts until the effect is dismissed, or the encounter ends. On a critical success, you trigger the chosen effect, and it doesn't count towards the maximum amount of effects you can have active. On a failure, you take damage equal to the difference between what you rolled and the target number. You cannot reduce this damage. On a critical failure, you take the damage you would have done on a failure, and you have Berserk equal to half the amount of damage suffered. And when trying to every morph that you attempt after the first one succeeds adds 1 Bane. The 2 morphs that you get access to out of the gate are Natural Weapon and Natural Armor. Which lets you change your weapon and armor setup. Eventually, you can change your racial features, get certain NPC qualities, use it to give yourself blue magic spells, use it to gain special attacks, and eventually combine a bunch of it at once, as well as use it to take large or multiple parts. And when you're low on health at higher circles, you get a bigger bonus to the morph roll, but you also take more damage if you fail. So that kind of I wanted to go into the theme of the transformation should not be something taken lightly, and should not be something abused. And especially since when I looked at one of the promotional images for Vincent, especially the one where he's perched over a house, there's a small part of me that wonders if somebody on the art team was inspired by Spawn.
I don't know, maybe.
the red cape doesn't exactly help matters either.
Yeah.
God, imagine playing Keith David playing Vincent Valentine.
Oh.
I'm not sure that would work.
No. No, not unless you have him doing so for the Galleon Beast. But having two different voice actors for one character can be tricky. Then again, that's part of the reason why I think Scott McNeil ended up gradually going crazier. Because there were some shows, especially the Mega Man cartoon, where he was the primary two antagonists, so there were good chunks of episodes where he was just in a booth by himself. Mostly because everybody else left and went to go get coffee. But I do, and the big reason I designed Nightmare in the way that I did is I didn't want people to think that they had to replicate the Galleon Beast or similar monsters that he takes for his limit breaks, but could take other forms just as well. Plus, I think it'd be more interesting to have this theme of you're only slightly monstrous at first, but by the end of it, you end up looking like Alucard at restraint level 0.
Mm-hmm.
Or what the Valentine's brothers see in their nightmares. But in terms of the version with Dirge of Cerberus, which apparently the version that there were some significant changes to the version that we got compared to the original Japanese version. For example, the Limit Breaker item, originally going into Galleon Beast form, took up your MP, which is kind of lame. And things like the jumping setup was something that was added into the US version. Yes, it took it crossing the country for them to figure out that they want characters to jump.
I was about to say, like, it can kind of drive you nuts whenever you play some games and you can't jump in them. Not for every game, but, you know, if you're running around shooting things, you probably want to be able to jump.
Yeah. I have said in the past that what they were trying to do with Dirge of Cerberus, I'd like to see revisited, but handed off to say New Blood or something like that.
Yeah.
Hand off to New Blood's one example, or Indefatigable, or just anybody who's doing boom shoot these days. Just give them the concept with Dirge of Cerberus and let them run with it. Probably in either GZ Doom or Kex. Probably Kex.
And considering GZ Doom can run Kex wads now, that wouldn't be too much of a stretch.
Mm-hmm. But instead of Sniper for the Dirge of Cerberus version, I'm going with Fighter.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense considering how many guns he gets. Well, he only gets 3, but those guns are pretty good.
And instead of Covert Ops, first off, instead of Expert, I'm changing it to Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of Covert Ops, I'm actually going with one of the Yokai. Diabolos. Yokai. So, for a bit of context, because I know some people might go, isn't Yokai a Bravely Default asterisk? Yes. There were a few things from Bravely Default I took. And I know some might say that's not Final Fantasy. To that I say, the team behind Bravely Default did 4 Heroes of Light. And look at the asterisk system in Bravely Default and tell me that's not the sub-job system from FF5.
Mm-hmm.
So I am technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Yes.
But yokai is a special job. One that operates on a different set of rules. The original idea for yokai was the controllable summon a la FF10. I didn't like how it was turning out, and then I got the idea to do the concept of yokai channeling themselves through someone's body, basically transforming that person into an avatar of that particular yokai. I know some people bring up 16. 16 wasn't even out yet when I was considering the concept. That's just a happy accident. But yokai is the only job that can be taken more than once. Each time you take it, you're picking one of the eidolons that you can assume an avatar form of. But you can only you can't assume multiple forms at once. Now, why Diabolos? I don't have the gravity spells because they didn't work in my system. So Diabolos became the shadow element representative. Since I wanted at least one summon to represent each element. I know sometimes Hades has had that role. Hades has the role of the debuff king in this system. And you look at the design of Chaos in FF7 and in Dirge of Cerberus, and you look at the design of Diabolos, and how could I not go that route? But
yeah, I think it fits. And Diabolos is like one of my favorite summons, and I feel like he's very underrated.
Mm-hmm. But obviously trying to emulate all of the different gun attachments that you can do with the guns in Dirge of Cerberus in my system would be kind of pointless. But I think we can generally stat out Cerberus, Griffin, and Hydra.
It's been forever since I played Dirge of Cerberus. It's something I need to definitely pick up again.
Cerberus was of course a triple barrel pistol. A triple
barreled revolver.
Yeah, one that we do have double barrel revolvers, but triple barrel would be a case of goodbye wrist. So much like the Jackal and Castle for Alucard is too much gun for a normal man. But
hey, would you like more gun with your gun?
but let's see, do I have something like that in the weapon list? Oops, that's the wrong tab. That's the tab I'm looking for. So, let's see. Firearms. I do have revolver. So, revolver in the normal stat is point blank. Should it stay point blank or should it go up?
Considering how he freaking takes on Bahamut in freaking Advent Children, yeah, I'd definitely up Up it a bit.
Short?
Yes.
I can go with short. And I think the tags can say the same, which are Magnum and Devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say the third one should probably be Bane Humanoid.
Mm-hmm. That thing's fired at point blank range. Goodbye, head.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, the Griffin, which it amuses me to no end that the Griffin was a triple barrel Tommy gun. Which explains why its accuracy was so bad, because look, the Tommy gun was made to be cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Even though an Uzi was cheaper.
So I'm assuming the base for this one's going to be an assault rifle.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the best fit considering how big the thing is.
Mm-hmm. So I'd say assault rifle, which is short. I want to go with point blank because of how shit that thing's range is.
Mm-hmm.
That's very fair.
That is actually, I can go with that.
Let's see. Swarm and any two are the suggested tags. So I would say
I would say brutal 2.
Yep.
If I'm being honest.
I can go with that. And then Hydra, which
The rifle.
Yep.
Oof.
I think the base should be the heavy sniper rifle.
Brother, get the sniper rifle. The heavy sniper rifle.
Yep. So
I can go with that.
long. Magnum.
Magnum, traumatizing, and brutal, it looks like, unless we want to change those tags.
No, I'm fine with those tags.
Yeah, considering that thing is beastly if you upgrade it, if I remember right.
Yeah. And obviously... There was also the blast machine gun, but I don't think I'm gonna go with that. The Hydra.
I don't think that's going to be necessary, considering that he only uses 3 guns, really.
Mm-hmm. And the death penalty. I am going to add in death penalty because it does work significantly different than it did, and look significantly different than it did in 7 proper.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like death penalty should be an arcane weapon instead of a physical one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's see.
I'd say long.
Holy cow, that gun looks slick.
The design of death penalty, I don't know why, but it gives me the vibe of the Cerberus from Gungrave.
Mm-hmm.
But the art, as far as the tags, honestly, because it is just a one-hit delete button, I'm thinking just Brutal 3.
Yep. This gun turns everything into Jib's gun.
Yep. Because I should go into the way weapons work. Obviously, I didn't want to do a standard weapon list because weapon lists in a lot of those kind of games tend to have the problem of not having a whole lot of impact, and I feel like the choice of weapon should be impactful for your playstyle. Mm-hmm. But also, I didn't want to run into a Sisyphean trial of having to constantly add weapons for concepts that people I did not know of. So, which is why we have the tag set up instead. And I think that there's also the fact that some weapon might come along that has a cool factor that warrants someone to bring it to their table, and I don't want to just tell them, oh, just house rule it, without giving them any kind of framework to build around. Although, looking back at some of the sample weapons, I do find it funny that one of the ones I went with is a portable cannon, which somehow will make it more useful than the fire mace in Heretic.
Oh no, I heard in the most recent release of Heretic and Hexen they kind of fixed it.
Yeah, they did, but salt is eternal.
I do concur on that.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes, the big reason I went with the approach I did for death penalty is I don't have anything that would be the equivalent of the, oh, you do more damage the more of your party members that are dead. Especially since that kind of thing I try to avoid in how I design games. But I would also let me double check. Oh. But I'll deal with that later. So that now, as far as the add-ons when it comes to guns, I don't. A lot of them are either stat modifiers or dealing with stats that I don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that we should stat out Sephiroth. Since, you know, you did have him as a party member very briefly, so we can have it count.
And he nuked everything when he did.
But I looked at it. I remember watching a video that went into the reasons why Sephiroth did his heel turn, and I came to a realization. That Sephiroth's origin as that kind of creation. If you had his origin story feels very Ishinomori, or almost borderline something like Devilman, which led me to posit this AU where he ended up going native during the Wutai War.
Mm-hmm.
But
So, considering he's an all-rounder,
An all-rounder with a locked set of materia.
Adept has to be the class, and his first thing is going to be Sword Saint.
I'd say Adept, Sword Saint. I'd also
Weapon Master.
I'd say Sword Saint, Weapon Master, and Samurai.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And as far as setting up the Masamune, I think I already did that.
Not that I'd ever use it, but I will look and see.
Yep, it's in page 137 of the Ultimania guide.
There's Murasame, Muramasa, Masamune. Physical great tags Bane, Humanoid, Brutal, and Wounding. With the speed and spellcasting haste enchantments.
Which is certainly going to be apropos for how fast he is, and being able to get a limited casting of haste is going to reinforce that even further. So it'd be really funny if somebody did a Sephiroth build and just went with a bunch of the ambush feats, which activate when you're targeting somebody slower than you. But while I'm at it, there's a few other things I'd like to revisit. One of them is the gun arm when it comes to Barrett, because we do have rules for cybernetics.
I completely forgot about that.
So that is in the advanced rules. So let me see. Cybernetics. There we go. So with cybernetics, obviously it has its rules on how it works. And I would say any cybernetics that he has are arm type, obviously. And I'd say the main one that he has is integrated weapon and arm enhancer. Which does mean if somebody is building Barrett, they need to have a vitality mod of at least 2.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into how we did cybernetics in a bit, Vincent. I didn't go with implanted weapon because that's more for the whole hidden weapon, like the hidden Derringer.
Yeah, Barrett has one of the least hidden weapons possible.
I went with arm enhancer because it is implied that he can take the gun thing off and put a metal hand on, and later on in Advent Children, his improved gun arm can go into hand form or Gatling form or railgun.
Whatever the
form.
fuck that was in Advent Children.
I think it was supposed to be a railgun. Though, I like the idea of somebody doing a Barrett build and just having as a fighter and just having different attachments they put on, kind of like the weapon mods in Doom 2016 and Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
It also means an armed shotgun, which is absolutely hilarious.
I mean, that'd be freaking awesome, now that I think about it.
And I've mentioned...
Of course, Oh, go ahead.
I've mentioned in the past that I enjoy giving my players overpowered but unsafe weapons.
I mean, same. I don't know. I feel like if I were going to do something like that in Escalon, it would probably be like the Atlans from Dark Ages, and that would give me the chance to craft the biggest shotgun anyone's ever seen.
If you're using the Atlans, then it would have to be with the War Machina rules. But
oh yeah, I've already got those rules pulled up. Of like, oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Well, having fun was always the goal. But as far as setting out the gun arm, so it cannot have the great or long templates, and it can't have the holdout tag. That's the rules.
So would short be able to have? Would we be able to have the short tag?
Yeah.
I mean, since we can't have long, apparently.
So let me see where here we are. Because I do have Gatling gun as one of the weapons. Although some of the guns that you get as Barrett aren't auto fires, but a lot of them are. I think there were a few that were single shot. But you think of Barrett and you think of DACA on the arm.
Oh yeah.
So short, swarm, wounding, brutal. Although I'd say he had a better looking gun arm than what Dine had.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, Dine had like a single shot. And then like a burst shot.
I
haven't played 7 in years.
Yeah. In his appearance in Rebirth, it looks more like a drum mag machine gun. And his concept artwork in 7 has that's a fucking PKM. That's a PK.
Oh God.
That's a PKM with the pizza magazine. And just to illustrate my point, in the side chat for you guys, I'm gonna put in like that is an upside down PKM with a heat shield for some reason.
That thing has got to be heavy. Holy cow. I could not imagine lugging something of that size around on my arm.
Pretty much. Which might explain why he wasn't a very good shot. because the recoil on that thing must be an absolute nightmare. I mean, the PKM is a light machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, light machine guns are mounted. Obviously, there are ones that aren't, and you're going to be using both hands with them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I just look at that thing and I'm going, jeez, what the fuck, man? But I do. When it comes to some of the spin-off stuff, like I said, Dirge of Cerberus was the one I chose to focus on. While I'm at it, I did come across the image I was thinking of regarding Vincent. I don't know why, but whenever I see this particular photo, I keep thinking of Spawn.
Yep. No, I can definitely see it.
Very Spawn-like.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, I didn't even catch it until I got a lot older, but I mean, I really liked Spawn as a kid, and he was actually like the first character that I dressed up as. Like for Halloween, when I chose like my own outfit, I was like 5 years old dressed as Spawn. And it was a couple years later when I was introduced to Vincent, and I didn't realize I had a thing for these like edgy black and red like long cape characters.
Mm-hmm. But I know it'd be tempting to cover some of the spin-off stuff, like the First Soldier. There's no need for us to cover that, and Ever Crisis. There's because of the way it's set up, a lot of the stuff that's in it I've already covered.
See, there's me.
One of these things is not like the other things.
Yeah, exactly. So for chat, I just shared a picture of me as a kid, as Kid Spawn, with my cousin and my little sister, who are just very cutesy, and then I'm just Spawn.
Yep. That being said, I do think there's an interesting potential challenge in doing build versions of the VIIs.
Yes. Sadly, I've only ever fought 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Those being Rosso and Azul.
Yep.
Sadly, I don't remember how far I got before I eventually just rage quit it and decided to come back to it later.
And I know it'd be tempting to set out the restrictors, but no. Although one could use the concept of Edge and Deep Ground and do a kind of dungeon delve campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, with Azul,
The man with the big fuck off double chain gun.
Mm-hmm. So I know some people raise their eyebrows about the color titles, but Sviets means colors, so keeping the theme.
Makes sense.
So I would say, obviously, we're still dealing with Hume, even if he is a giant. Warrior is definitely the class.
And Sniper with that big fuck off chain gun.
Uh,
Or should I think differently and think engineer?
Actually, I'm thinking Berserker.
I can go with that, actually.
The job setups don't really care too much about the weapon choice, with one exception. I'd also say Sentinel and Magitech Knight.
Never mind, he doesn't have a chain. Oh, wait, he does have a double chain gun and a giant fuck off anti tank rifle.
Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle. Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle.
An anti tank rifle! One handed!
Yep. But, yeah, the big reason I'm going with Magitech Knight is because of the whole bulletproof barrier thing that he has, and Magitech Knight is kind of the armor master, as opposed to weapon master.
No, I can definitely see it.
So, let's see. So Berserker.
Berserker, Magitech Knight.
And Sentinel.
Oh yeah, he's beefy enough.
But then there's Rosso the Crimson.
Wood.
Right. And no worries, Vince. If you need to head out, then go ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, and that's on that note. Thank you guys for having me. Join you for the Final Fantasy VII edition of this. I very much appreciated it. I always love the chance to glaze Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VII and talk about it. And you know, it's a cool time. And Sig, it was a pleasure to meet you and speak with you on it and everything.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you too, man.
Yeah, thank you. And for anyone checking out the video, if you want to check out what I do, you can check out Vindicated Entertainment. You can find me on all sorts of social media places, and we got all sorts of games. I do a lot with card games as well, but of course, I also have tabletop role-playing games, so feel free to check it out.
Sound good to me.
All right, thanks, guys. You guys take care and stay awesome.
Yep, stay frosty, man.
See you on the trail.
But as far as Rosso, whose boss fights I absolutely hated,
yeah, I'm looking her over. She looks like she has a swallow type weapon.
I'd say for Rosso, we're still going with Warrior.
Okay.
But I would say Dervish, Dynamo, and
I was going to lean a little more toward Expert because she is very quick. She's a very hit 'em hard, hit 'em fast type character, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But Warrior's actually kind of fitting.
As far as the third one, Knight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I know one might say, shouldn't she get Gunbreaker because of her weapon? No.
No. Doesn't fit.
Yeah, if it's a thing that slashes and shoots, it doesn't count as a gun arm in my system.
Although a gun swallow does sound interesting. How would that even work? I must explore this idea for later.
Mhm. It is amusing that her Japanese voice actress is the same as Ultimecia in Dissidia.
Oh, goodness.
But
All right, now we're going with fan favorite. I'm assuming Nero the Sable.
before that, we have Shelky the Transparent.
Ah, Shilk. I remember her. Vaguely.
Yep.
I don't remember her fight being hard, just annoying.
It was a early fight, so I would
Yeah.
say
Hold on, I'm gonna have to go look at her fight again because I don't remember too much of it.
mhm. I do remember making the age-old joke of I think George Lucas is going to sue somebody, but I'm thinking expert.
Yeah,
And
definitely expert. What job would have cloaking though?
I think the closest thing to that would be ninja, but I don't think that fits.
No.
No, instead because of the whole diving into collective memories thing and the net dive that she has, I have a different idea. But
So
I do
definitely expert.
I do think one of the entries should be Dynamo.
I can agree with that. Second one I would suggest, just based on the weapon she uses, is Fencer.
Yeah, Fencer, and for the third entry, I would say Squire.
I can go with that.
All right. Now we have Nero.
Nero the Sable.
So, still doing Hume. As far as class,
Okay, so just based on his fight, because I'm kind of going over it, snipers definitely got to be one.
Yep.
He duplicates himself, and that's kind of annoying.
I'd say for a second one, it would be very tempting to go with Yokai Diablos again. Instead, because of the way his darkness works and the extras that he seems to call upon, I'm actually going with Necromancer.
Let me take a look. Necromancer would fit, given his battle style.
And as far as the third entry, I think that should go to probably...
Well,
Dark
he's
Knight.
definitely. Actually, I can go with that. I was like, what would fit that, considering his style, considering his fighting style?
Mm-mm. Then we get to asshole. I mean, Weiss the Immaculate. I mean, asshole.
Ah, good old Vice.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Vice the Immaculate. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Warrior and definitely Dervish.
Yep, I would say Dervish. I know it'd be tempting to go
Gu-
with Gunbreaker, but he shoots just as much as he slashes with those things, so I'm not counting it.
Fair.
On the other hand, I am fine with going with Sword Saint.
I can definitely see that. Considering that's the main weapon type he uses.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dervish, Sword Saint. Take a look at him.
Obviously, he was an optional boss in remake, but I'm not going with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say for the third part of it, let me choose Kingsglaive.
Just watching the fight, yeah, I can definitely see it.
That does mean he barely qualifies for warrior because we gave him one warrior job and 2 independent jobs. Actually, 1 warrior, 1 adept, and 1 independent. Sorry.
Yeah. But considering, his style and everything, it definitely fits here.
Mm-hmm. Which certainly makes sense. And I know I said I wasn't gonna cover Crisis Core because a lot of it I already covered, but there are 2 character builds we can delve into.
Genesis and Angeal.
Yep.
All right, so which one are we going to go with first? Big boy or pretty boy?
Let's go with Angeal first.
Angeal Healy it is. The man where the iconic Buster Sword comes from.
I do remember seeing some say that the idea that the Buster Sword was a hand-me-down somehow diminishes it. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
No, it's a symbolic thing.
It would only diminish it if you're not aware of the concept of that kind of inherited legacy, which I think a lot of people were saying that weren't. They were just in the mindset of modern bad.
Especially considering that it's seen multiple times throughout the series. And for the last time in frickin' Advent Children.
Yep, so
big boy.
Yep.
Warrior.
Yep, I can go with warrior.
I maintain that he's definitely a berserker.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Actually, no. I retract that. Sentinel.
Sentinel I can go with.
Because he does, because I've seen in cutscenes, he doesn't strike me as the terribly aggressive one, but more the guardian type.
Mm-hmm.
Sword Saint, actually. Because of how he's able to use that thing. What else can we do? And for the last one, considering he is a leader, Weapon Master.
When you said because
And
he is a
his-
leader, I thought you were going to say general.
Well, okay, I meant because he sticks to one type of weapon. Definitely Weapon Master.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I do kind of concur with you on General.
I mean, he was such a strong leader, he had his own fan club.
So I can forego Weapon Master in favor of General.
Mm-hmm. So then we have Genesis Rhapsodos, or an excuse to have Gact do voice acting.
Or there are at one point 10 different Genesis pages back in the mid 2010s just for this character alone.
So I'd say Adept. Because
Yes, I can agree with that.
as far as his particular job setup, I'd say Fencer,
Yep, definitely one on the list. Fencer,
Magic Knight,
okay, yep, definitely can do that.
and Black Mage.
Yep. I was about to say, I was gonna throw in Red Mage, but I'm like, no, Red Mage doesn't fit him.
I know some people would say Red Mage because of the red coat, but so much of his kit is offensive magic.
Mm-hmm. And Magic Knight because he infuses his weapon with magic when he fights.
Pretty much. And I'm not putting in Fencer just because of the rapier, but also the fact that I don't see him as a group fighter, but more of somebody who's like, fuck that guy in particular.
Yeah. No, he's definitely single combatant.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a lot of debuffs on a target, yeah, would definitely help him.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure somebody would say Entertainer because of how often he quotes Loveless, but that's not enough for Entertainer.
Mm-mm. That's like equating that to V in Devil May Cry 5. Even if that is part of his kit.
Yeah, especially if you do the longest taunt in the history of taunts.
The longest taunt in history of taunts that can refill your devil trigger.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you want the longest taunt in history of taunts, Dan Hibiki.
Yeah, which I have a strong belief that Dan Hibiki was Capcom's attempt to specifically take the piss out of Art of Fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But and I know one might say, why didn't we do Materia? The way I have Materia, as I mentioned at the top, the way I have Materia set up in this game compared to the way materia works in the OG game isn't all that compatible.
Yeah, and I mean, you're just doing the base in this case.
That, and I feel like going with materia would be a little too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But
And considering if I read right, your materia only follows one specific track.
Each individual materia is like a tech tree, like a very small tech tree. But what you have access to when it comes to materia is very much dependent on your level, because that determines how many slots you get. I know there's the temptation to have that be equipment, but my equipment system doesn't work like that. I tried to make it work like that, and it didn't stick. So because of that, I decided to take a different approach to get the feel of what materia is intended to do without copying the letter of it, which has always been kind of the modus operandi with Legend Edition.
I feel like this would be good for like a shard.
What do you mean?
Like testing the materia system of Legend Edition in like a shard.
Yeah.
Just
I think it could work, and I know I've seen some go on how broken materia and the like can be, but when you deal with a more freeform kind of character setup, you're going to have that kind of brokenness. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
But that is going to do it for this particular episode of Fated Continuum. We will be back here with it in 2 weeks, diving into Final Fantasy VIII, the game that a lot of people profess their hatred for, and to which I say, oh, that's a nice opinion you got there. Did a YouTuber give it to you?
I will admit, I will confess something. I had my own hatred of it because I know the YouTuber you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, coming into this, I thought, you know what, that's really not fair. And that's kind of why I decided, I'm gonna give it another fair shake.
Yeah. I'm not saying that 8 is perfect, but I do think the over-hate got to a point where people were hating a third-degree impression of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it definitely gets a lot of hate, and it is definitely broken on a fundamental level.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, though, it's a case of glass houses, because you do the right build, every FF can be some level of broken or omni-broken.
Oh, it can apply to any freaking FF. Especially the ones before 10.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to single one of them out.
Mm-hmm.
That's also why when we covered 6, I made a point of bringing up the fact that there's some busted ass stuff in 6 that
Absolutely.
A lot of people glaze over.
Oh yes, for sure.
And that's not to tear down 6, but more to put the thing on a more realistic pedestal.
I do admit with 6 I do have a bias because it was the first FF I actually, spent a good deal of time on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see why it's regarded as one of the best, but it is definitely not perfect.
Yeah. But you listen to the way some people talk about it, and they talk like it is perfect. I'd liken it to how when people,
because I was one of those people.
Yeah, when people talk up, say, Doom 2, and then conveniently don't mention the chasm. Or...
Now here's the better question: which version of Doom 2? Because I was about to say OG and PS1 Doom are two completely different experiences.
Yeah, I never played PS1 Doom except for a couple maps.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't comment on it. But when people talk about how perfect Doom 2 is,
Oh,
they end
no,
up
no, no,
forget-
absolutely not.
they end up overlooking those maps, or I've seen people talk up the original Doom, and then conveniently forget about Slough of Despair.
Now, Slough of Despair is fine for the most part. It's a little more straightforward than people would make it out to be. The design is just kind of bewildering, but then again, it is Sandy Peterson, so there's that.
Oh, okay. I suppose a better example is it's just episode 3 in general, which isn't quite as good as 1 and 2.
Oh, absolutely not. Episode 3's easily the weakest.
But it is on that Scalabrini effect of it might be the weakest, but it's still the weakest among a bunch of bangers. So we're grading on a curve here.
Exactly.
Now that being said, when we come back in a couple weeks' time, we'll be diving into 8. When we get back here next week, we will be going headfirst into our grand finale when it comes to the 1.0 era of Sword World, and especially covering the GM facing side of Sword World 1.0 and just general final thoughts when it comes to the 1.0 era.
And that is something I will definitely be there for. Sickness and health be damned.
Yeah. And of course, once we get into the new year on January 11th, that's when we'll be starting the Reflections of Gaia podcast, which will be a bi-weekly thing.
Neat.
It's just that instead of covering Sword World, we'll be covering Anima Beyond Fantasy.
Another game I don't know too much about.
We're going to be swapping Japanese tabletop with Spain tabletop. But that is a story for another time. So until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
See you on the trail, folks, and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. 남은